Hello, you speakers. I'm Katza.
And I'm George.
And I'm Javier.
Learning vocabulary is always a huge challenge because mastering vocabulary is actually more important than grammar. And believe it or not, learning as many words as you can will actually improve all your language skills. Yes, listening, reading, writing, and of course, speaking. So stay tuned. Today, you're learning three infallible techniques to learn new vocabulary. Welcome to another episode of the You Speak English podcast. Thank you for hitting that play button and subscribing to our podcast channel.
Remember to download the script for this podcast so you can follow what you're listening to. And today, a special freebie on that last page.
Yoo-hoo!
Remember, you can find us everywhere at Uspk. That is USPK.
All right,
Yes.
guys.
All right.
Okay, everybody. Today, we're going to start off with most common mistakes advanced learners make.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I have an
Yes.
example, guys.
All right.
The most common one is that people believe it or not, tend to forget the subject. I'll
Oh,
ask
yeah,
them,
that's right.
I'll ask somebody, so George, how was your weekend? Yeah, stay in the house. Who
Mhm.
stayed in the house? Me. Well, you gotta say I stayed in the house,
Mhm.
or they'll use the predicate at the in the beginning. So what did you do at the weekend, Katsa? In the house in the afternoon, watching TV,
Mhm.
with my husband.
Mhm.
You mean you were watching TV in the evening with your husband?
Yes.
And the
You're
last one
right.
I always get, they're still messing up on comparatives. Oh no, I like to look on the YouTube video because it's more easy as
Uh-huh.
opposed to
Yes, yeah,
easy.
you're
Yes,
right.
common ones instead of saying more,
Yes.
instead of easier.
Easier.
But
Mm.
Yes.
guys, that's another one that's even for native speakers nowadays.
Yeah,
I heard speakers say more funny.
I know. I have heard them too.
You
I
have seen it,
follow a
right?
lot. Yeah, as
Or
I follow lots of people on TikTok, and all of a
right.
sudden they're like more easy. What's going on?
What's over there? Right? And they don't say, "Oh, is
Yes.
this a lot more fun? Isn't it
Uh-huh.
funner?" So look out for that.
Yes. Be on the lookout. Okay, I got another one, guys. So
Oh,
using adjectives in plural or after nouns. That's very common because that's the way we use them in Spanish. So in English, we don't pluralize adjectives. Adjectives are
nope.
words that are never plural, right? So, for example, I love my pants blues. This is illustrating the example, the mistake that I'm talking about. You have to say, I love my blue pants.
Right.
So the correct way is to be, mentioning the adjective, the descriptive word first, and never pluralize it. And it doesn't matter how many descriptive words we use, they must all go before the actual thing we're talking about, the noun we're talking about. For example, I'll wear that plaid red and white long sleeve shirt to the party. So yes, I was planning.
Yeah.
See the shirt I'm wearing.
Well played. Well
Yeah,
played.
we're playing. Yes, I was planning. This is production, guys. This is production. All
Wow.
right, George.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a couple of other ones that I can think of right now. One is when people talk about plans in the future and they want to say a phrase when. For instance, when they say when I will go, I will see you. Okay, but that's not correct. You should say when I go, I'll see you. So the first phrase you're going to use the word when, and the verb will be in present, not in future. Okay.
Nice.
The second part of the sentence will be in future. So remember, okay, when I go to the beach, I will swim a lot. Okay, but you don't say when I will go. All right.
Yes.
So remember that when I go, when he goes, when I travel, when they buy, but not with will at the beginning. Okay.
Right. Yes.
That's one. And another one is a transfer from Spanish, Spanish, because most, if not all of our students are Spanish speakers. and there's a transfer here. And in Spanish, you know, there's a phrase that you say, "Me gusta," talking
Oh,
about a
that's right.
thing. You know, if we're talking about a phone, "Me gusta," and some people, well, some learners will tend to say, "It likes me." It
Mhm.
likes me.
Mm.
But you don't say it. You would say, "I like it."
Mhm.
Yes.
It referring to the phone substitution, right? Another one is for instance, in Spanish, there's a phrase that people use a lot: "Me cae bien."
Mhm.
Right.
Cae
Oh,
bien,
yeah.
meaning I like him.
Mhm.
Like he's cool. I like him.
Mhm.
All right. And some students, some learners will tend to say, "He likes me." The
Oh,
sentence is
big
correct, but
difference.
it means a different thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yes.
it's a different meaning. It's the other way around.
Exactly.
So, me cae bien, it's I like him
Mhm.
or I like her. If you're
Right.
talking about a female.
Yes.
Okay, so those are two things that I can think of right now.
Of
All
course.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Those
Good
Javier.
are, those are
one.
really good.
Okay, and now going back to our new acquired section of things in Spanish that we do not have in English. And this one
Yes.
came in just at the nick of time, guys, because you guys don't know this, but today's the 15th. We recorded the
Oh,
podcast a week before, even though it is released on Tuesday. And somebody asked me in Spanish, teacher, ¿va a haber puente?
oh yes.
Hey, wow. And you're right. We don't have the
Mhm.
word puente in English. We say the
No.
word long weekend.
Long
We have a
weekend.
long weekend. Okay.
Right.
The word bridge, to cross a river, to cross a road, that's fine. But if you want to talk about a long weekend, that's what it is. Just a
Mhm.
long weekend. We don't have the
Yes.
word puente.
No, we
And
don't.
and the second one that word that we don't have in English, and it's one of my favorite, is godines.
Oh.
Okay. George, do you know what a godines is? Could you explain that?
Yeah, a godines is a typical office employee. So yeah, it's typical white collar employee, and
Yeah, not very active, not very proactive. He's just doing the bare minimum to not get fired, right? Oh, we
yeah.
don't have
Mhm.
that in English. We don't have that word.
Not
So,
even in the
As a matter of
culture.
fact, it has a
not even in the
negative
culture.
connotation, right?
Exactly. Not even in the culture, because that kind of guy would probably not last very long in the job.
Oops.
Oops.
Well, trust me, there have been some that I know that have been there for a long.
Well, in
Oh,
the government bureaucratic system, they probably will be,
for
you'll
sure.
find a lot, you know?
Yeah, same
What
as
about,
here.
what about you, Katza?
I have one.
All right.
I have one. Aurita.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it.
Aurita, which in the equivalent in English would be in a little while.
In a little while, or
Yes.
give me a minute,
Give me a
like,
minute,
or
just a
something,
second.
just a second, Yeah,
Yeah, it has to
we don't
give
have that.
many connotations. Yes, it's
Katsa,
like yes.
but ahorita, for culturally speaking, for anybody who's not Mexican, we know that ahorita, even though the translation means
In a
now,
little while,
or
or
it
now.
does say in a little while, we know that ahorita means not today, maybe
Yes.
some other time, but it really means ahorita means not now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Not right now.
Not
Exactly.
right
You're
now.
right. Yeah, that would be the equivalent. Not right now.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I love languages. How
How about you,
about you,
George?
George?
Yeah.
Well, okay. There was an expression I heard the other day, and I was thinking about it. Say, how would you say that in English? It's está cañón.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Está
right.
Okay.
cañón for
Uh,
our native speakers in
uh-huh.
English that don't know what cañón is. It's a cannon, like a
Mm.
cannonball, right?
Yes,
Like
exactly.
a weapon. And
Hmm.
we don't say that like, oh, it's cannon. You can't
Right.
translate it that way. So it's tacañón means it's really hard. It's really difficult.
Yeah,
It'll be it's a long stretch,
it's far
Wow.
fetched.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay. So the equivalent would be like it's a long stretch,
Uh,
a long
or
stretch. Is quite hard, really difficult.
it's pretty
Está
far,
cañón.
pretty
Yeah, we
far
don't have that
fetched.
exact phrase in English.
right.
Okay.
Good one.
Another one, se cree muy muy.
Oh wow, that's my favorite.
Se cree muy muy. If you translate it literally into English, it means he believes
He,
himself very very, or she
but see,
herself very very.
Yes.
Well, the actual meaning of this is like, oh, he thinks he's it. He or she
uh,
Mhm.
thinks he's it.
thinks too
Like,
highly of himself
yeah,
or something.
like
Yeah,
very
something
high
like
opinion of himself or
that. Uh-huh.
herself. Se cree muy muy.
So I can tell someone, you think you're it,
You
right?
think you're it?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
think you're it.
All
Yeah,
right.
All
I
right.
think you're
All
it.
that in a bag of chips. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
All
All
that in
that
a
in a
bag of
bag of
chips.
chips.
Yeah.
All
So you don't
right.
say it. Remember, don't say,
No.
oh, he thinks he's very, very. No, don't say
No.
that.
Very, very what?
Yes. For an intensifier, you will need an adjective.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the law.
It's the law. It's the law of adjectives,
There you go.
which are very, very nice to learn. All right. Okay. Okay. Now to the main topic. We're going to share with you 3 infallible techniques to learn and remember vocabulary. But there are a couple of details we can't leave out about this topic since it's definitely a major concern amongst language learners. So the first one is you need to get access to a core word list. But what is a core word list, Javier?
Core word list is a list that is essentially an official list of the most commonly used words in the language you're learning. In other words, this list is the essential words that you will get that will get you to communicate effectively in an easy environment, such as traveling or conversations about daily life or not very serious matters. In other words,
Right.
the vocabulary that you need for the purpose that you want.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. That's correct. That's right. So this official list has to be validated by the CFR. Now, what is the CFR, George?
Uh-huh.
CEFR.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's okay. Well, I'll read the definition and then
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you
Uh-huh.
in short. Okay, it's the CEFR is a common. It's an acronym for the following definition for the following. It's the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages.
Uh-huh.
Okay, not only English but any other language. Here we're talking about obviously English. So it's learning, teaching, assessment. CEFR was designed to provide a transparent, coherent, and comprehensive basis for the elaboration of language, syllabuses, and curriculum guidelines, the design of teaching and learning materials, and the assessment of foreign language proficiency. Okay, guys. In other
Right.
words, it's an international standard that has a list of can-dos of what somebody should be able to do at certain levels of English. And so it's an international standard, okay, for English in this case.
All right. Very good. Thank you, George. So that was first number 1 is to get access to a code word list. Very important. Second, establish a goal and build a habit around it. To master vocabulary, you do need discipline. This is not going to come magically, it's not going to come magically to you. You have to work on it. But there are fun ways to get you where you want to be. So once you have your core word list, this is what you can do with it and have fun in the process. All right, let's talk about techniques, guys. So, technique number 1.
Okay, technique number 1, and adding on top of what George said, of getting your core list. One of my favorite references, also, which will also help you, especially if you're intermediate to lower, is get a picture dictionary. It's dictionary. There are several of them, but there's basically a book that has a lot of pictures of words related to a specific thing. For example, it'll have all the vocabulary related to a bedroom, all the vocabulary related to parks and recreations, all the vocabulary related to the school, because your brain likes to put things in sections.
Yes.
Okay. Once you
That's
have
right.
that, start working with it and try to build. Here's my favorite technique. Try to build something that is, how can I put it? It's something that is awkward or funny. It's to help you remember the word. Example, I used to have a lot of problems remember the word business, how to write the word business. I didn't remember if it's double S at the beginning or double S in the middle or double S on both sides.
Yes.
So a very good friend of the school, Mr. Jerry Muckford, told me that a good way to remember is try to picture the Loch Ness monster, which Loch Ness ends in double S. So picture the Loch Ness monster. You guys remember that, right? The Loch Ness
Yes.
monster.
Yeah.
And try to picture the Loch Ness monster in a business suit with a business suitcase. You know, just the Loch Ness about to do business.
Mm,
Okay, so it's a funny picture in my mind, but it always helps me to remember the correct way to write business.
right.
So try to build something that's awkwardly funny in your brain to remember that vocabulary. Hook it
Right.
onto something else. This is called, guys,
Mm.
a memory hook.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Great.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Javier.
Sure.
So, technique number 2,
Well,
George.
I can think of this following one. One of that was very useful, and I use it on myself, not only with my students, but me learning some words. Is when you learn a new word, write it on a post-it. Okay, write it. Take the time. Take the time. If you're in a class or you're in a conversation, do take the time to write it down. Okay, and later write it on a post-it, one or two, three words that you want to learn on that day, and put them on in a place where they're very visible, perhaps in front of your computer monitor, okay, where you're seeing it every single day. And every now and then during that week, be creative and make sentences with those words. Okay.
Right.
I remember, I did this learning a couple of words, Swahili words, with a friend of mine many years ago. He taught me some words, and some were good words, some were bad words, and but I used them. And believe it or not, it's been over 15 years, and I still remember those words. Okay, because I did use them in context. I pronounced them every single day for at least, I had them there for at least 2 weeks, to be honest with you,
Mm.
and it worked on me. So if it worked on me, I think it can work on you.
So
Okay.
you,
Wow.
so you use bad words in Swahili every day on who?
On a friend of mine, I won't
Okay,
say
okay,
his name. We were very good friends, but we're just having fun. We're just playing.
okay.
All right. All
All right,
right.
all right.
Very good. And you have a second one, right, George, that I added to this one, this
Yeah.
third?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, good. So, find any excuse to use, your recent acquired vocabulary. As I said, if you're in a class, if you're in a conversation club, I hope it's our conversation club at
Mhm.
You Speak English.
Yes.
When you learn these words, okay, use them. Use them in a in real context. When I mean real context, not just for English classes or in a club, conversation club, but use them, try to find an excuse to use them in a meeting, when you're talking to somebody other than somebody who's your instructor, so that word still remains in your long-term memory.
Right.
So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you, George. Now, technique number 3. For me, I'm a very, like mechanical learner. I know by doing, by making things.
All right.
So one thing that I always loved doing when I was learning English, and I'm still learning English, is
Mhm.
making spider webs. Like
Oh.
drawing spider webs on your notebook. So out of every word that you come across, you draw this diagram. I have actually drawn a diagram for spider webs you're going to find it in the learning materials for the podcast. This is the freebie that Javier was
Oh.
talking about, the diagram all for free. So you can copy that and of course, feel free to use it because you have to work on your vocabulary, right?
All right, all
So
right.
there are actually 2 types of word webs I like using to learn new vocabulary and practice, of course. Number 1 is related words. So you basically write one word in the middle of the spider web and then write 5 words around it. Then write sentences related to you using those 6 words. If they can be sentences or complex phrases according to your English level, that would be perfect. Try to avoid the I am very happy essence, the very basic
Yeah.
sentences.
Mhm.
Force yourself to use them in more complex phrases. Nobody's looking at you, nobody's going to read them. You're just working with yourself, right? So, and if you have the time, expand your web to 5 additional words related to the 5 original ones. Okay. So that will make it a lot more complex. And like Javier said, you will stay in context. So you will broaden your vocabulary regarding one specific topic and context. That will help your brain organize the words, right?
Yeah.
And the other spider webs that I like drawing is collocations or fixed set of words that always go together. That they're best friends
Oh,
forever, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, talking about transportation, all right? So we would use the verb go or come or went along the preposition by, right?
mhm.
Go, come, or went with the preposition by. So, and then we can add the means of
Mhm.
transportation. Go by car, go by train, I went by boat, right?
Mhm.
So that way you can play with collocations, with fixed phrases, and then you will always
Mhm.
remember how to express yourself in English.
Good one. Good
Great.
one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, for those who really need to write, I think
Mhm.
this is this is quite infallible. Because I am a writer, so
Mhm.
yes, this will help you a lot. All right, very
It does.
good.
It does help.
Ah,
Okay, all right, let's wrap things up, guys. Time to go. It's over.
No, that was too fast.
All right, say your goodbyes, guys.
well, thank you again for having me here, and to all our listeners. Okay, I really hope that this material has been helpful, and put it in practice. Don't just listen to us, but whatever we're saying here, try to put it in practice, and then get back to us. We appreciate your comments. If you can, send us a message. Hey, it's working, or I tried this technique. That would give us a
Yes,
lot of good, great feedback. Thank you so much.
right, right.
Well, I'm going to quote our football coach in high school when he said, "Practice doesn't make perfect." And I said, "No, of course, practice makes perfect." He said, "No, perfect practice makes perfect." So you
Oh,
have to do it over and over again, but every time you have to do it better. And
yes,
on top of what Kata says, you have to be disciplined. Do it over and over again, until you get it right.
yes,
So
you're right.
keep practicing and do it
Yes.
perfect.
Please remember you can also find this podcast in its video version on YouTube. There you are welcome to comment on our videos. You can also see these videos going around Facebook if you follow us on our page. And of course, we have lots of content for you waiting in Instagram and on TikTok.
And
All
YouTube,
right.
you can see what the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice of Katza.
Exactly. And Javier.
I thought you were going to say about yourself over here.
Wow! No, I'm just a good voice, guys. Don't look at
Okay, this is
All
it for
right.
today. Thank you to
Bye.
all of our audience out there. Remember to subscribe to our channel. And if you like this podcast, please share it with all your friends. You can also visit our website where you will find articles related to English practice and learning. All right, until next time. Bye bye.
like.
Bye.